From the garage that sparked the global self-care movement, welcome to the Human Garage Experience, a podcast where we have unfiltered conversations on self-healing, consciousness, and optimizing your life with fascinating individuals changing the status quo. I'm your host, Garry Lineham, and I'm honored to have you here. Let's get down to it.
So do you want to start with like a little one or something?
You want a tongue pull?
Right now?
Let me see that underneath. Oh yeah.
Is it twisted?
It's you got a little bit of a
Cat got my tongue.
You got a little bit. I could do a little bit. Okay, Sahara, look up. What I want you to do is cross your legs, and then cross your arms. Oh, cross your arms. Give yourself a hug. Okay, now look up. Push your tongue up, and it's gonna hurt. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is turn your body. Breathe. Breathe. Turn your body the other way. Yeah, there you go. Right there. Keep turning into me. Almost there. Almost there.
I'll never do that again. Guys, it hurts like a pain I've never experienced in this lifetime. The fuck was that? I'm crying off my makeup, Garry. What was that maneuver? Am I going to be an amazing kisser now? Explain.
Just give it a second.
Oh my Lord, Daniels.
What are you feeling?
I was thinking, I want to tell him to stop, but he has my tongue. I mean, let me just, whew. I definitely feel like my tongue is higher, like it's less pinned down.
Right.
It's still throbbing. Like, guys, this is a pain I've never experienced in my life. I've never had someone pull my tongue.
So what else are you feeling? Where's the warmth in your body?
It just felt like when you were doing it, like I was just telling myself, just surrender into it, surrender into the pain. So, I mean, honestly, I just feel like I feel it more here, just a lot more spaciousness and heat. Like I want to like see if I could touch my nose. I can't. Okay, maybe I need another one. What am I supposed to feel?
Well, I mean, the tongue is connected to the heart. So it opens up your heart.
Oh, that's why my tears?
That's why you have tears.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's not really pain tears. It's not really sadness tears.
Well, it felt like, you know, when someone's doing something and your eyes get watery, it felt like I didn't feel an emotion. I felt more like a deep throb, but it could be that the way that my heart
What do you feel
feels.
right here?
Just peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
It feels very peaceful, right?
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden everything drops.
It feels like I just did something hard and now it's like, oh, it's done. Like I get to chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your voice?
Does it sound different?
It does sound different. Yeah.
Sexier, deeper.
Definitely deeper. We're radiating. Yeah.
I love it.
So you want to do it again?
No. I'll never do that again, but thank you. Wow, Garry, where'd you come up with that one?
It's
This what you do with Anella?
15 yeah. Me and Anella do that at night. About 15 years ago, we discovered, because the tongue is the biggest muscle in the neck. And so if your tongue is torqued at all, forget about the heart and the emotions and stuff like that. If it's even slightly torqued, it actually affects the performance of your diaphragm and then all the way down into your hips and down into your big toes. So like if you were walking around right now, you would feel very much lighter. And since you're sitting down, you don't have that quite experience. But if you're walking, you'd feel that already.
Wow.
So all of the runners, and Olympic runners, and all the athletes, that's something that we would administer to them, but they would do themselves. So pulling it up.
Wow.
And it works. You immediately feel a connection right down your toes grab and stuff like that. But the emotional component of it is the opening of the heart. Because you feel your eyes are very big and bright right now.
I feel, like more spaciousness in my face even.
Yeah. Yeah, you have more spaciousness in your face. That's one of the things. And then the environment we're in is probably not going to let you feel everything because number one, you didn't get up and walk around. So walking around is going to be very different. You're going to feel your feet differently. Those are guarantees. So, and neck feels good, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. The mind and the body, the throat, the yoni. It's like everything is connected.
Yeah. And it dramatically opens up your heart. I perceive that something that you'll have some experience over the next 24 hours that is a heart opener for you. So these are all things that the body, if the body is a reflection, our energy is in motion and our energy is in our body, and the fascial system in our body is where the energy flows through. We talked earlier about the conductive nature, the aura of the body. Think about your body being, having this high frequency around it. That frequency is what you call an aura. Well, it's a higher frequency. As you come to the center of the body, it gets denser. All the way down to the bone, it gets dense and dense and dense. And so the center of the human experience is the densest. The farther we go out, the more higher the frequency. So when we say raising our frequency, we're just moving into our own aura.
It reminds me of the koshas in Veda. Do you know about the koshas?
Yes.
So we have the truth of, so it starts with our physical body, and it's literally manomaya kosha. So it's the eaten body, the body that's made of food. Then you have your pranamaya kosha, your energetic body. Then you have your vijnaya maya kosha, which is like your thought body. And then you have your anandamaya kosha, which is your bliss body. So it's like all of these different layers that are all always communicating. Your physical body is a reflection of what's going on. We talked a lot about astrology. So it's like the astrology is manifesting in the tension on the left side of your tongue. And it's all just this beautiful symposium that's communicating with one another. And I feel that's what so many ancient sciences used to always remember, that the physical body was the vessel, it was the spiritual channel.
Yes.
And then due to Abrahamic patriarchal religions, it was like, no, your body is sinful. It's wrong. It's not God.
Right.
Because what a genius system to get people to not be able to trust themselves, to put those people in positions of power.
Well, think about the word religion. It's a Roman word. It's to re-legion. And to re-legion means to conscript you back into the army. It's bizarre how we've just let these things happen as human. By the way, your eyes are like massive right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, there's definitely a before and after. You're going to see it.
Oh, well, you guys got to witness it. And yeah, I've noticed myself too, just facial features shifting with spiritual growth.
For sure.
Like from the instant adjustments, but also going through dark nights of the soul, going through, various death and rebirth cycles, even being in and out of a certain relationship can completely shapeshift how you look.
It does.
And it's crazy when you think about, wow, just one person being in my life or out of my life made such a difference in how I look, which means it's actually shifting my DNA. It's shifting how I hold myself, my patterns, which is, over time, who I am. And it's like, I always say the breakup glow up should be studied because it's like, why is that happening? And you'll always see after a breakup separation, there's one person that glows up, one person that glows down, you know?
Yeah.
You can see who is siphoning the other's energy, because in relationships, unless you're two very conscious beings who've really done the sovereignty work to be able to hold yourself fully, most of the time there's one person who's, more of the empath, the giver, the people pleaser, who sees this beautiful, bright soul who's troubled and that could really use my help, who's bringing them up, and literally trading in your energy to keep that relationship. And then that person is being poured into, but they're resistant. And then finally, when they're out, finally the empath can give themselves that love. And all of a sudden they start glowing up. And then the person who never wanted it, it's like all of a sudden their face really starts to reveal of who they really were.
For sure. I have definitely noticed that. And you can take photos. I love taking photos of faces because they change over time. Like you said, shape shifting. But you've gone through this journey since we met last 6 years ago, 71 months and 1 day ago since the podcast was released. And, here we are. I didn't have a podcast back then. I'm interviewing you on my podcast today. And so much has changed for you. First of all, you're an author. You're a musician. You're a consciousness expert. You've been on this journey. You liberate yourself. You share that liberation with other people all around the world, men and women, but most likely a lot of women. And you openly share your journey, which is different. You're one of the few people that are truly authentic. And that is the highest state of awareness or being. And that's what I've always respected about you, is the authenticity. So tell me about the journey to get here and what you've gone through, let's say even over the last 6 years.
So interestingly enough, I believe when we say something, we cast a spell around ourselves.
I believe that too.
So when I was 24 years old, I was very deep in my spiritual journey. I had just lived in India for 2 years studying Ayurveda. I went through really bad health challenges. I didn't get my period for 2 years. Doctors prescribed me so much prescription medication, and I self-healed through Ayurveda. And so I felt very passionate about sharing it.
Sure.
And so this time's 10 years ago, I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know an author, know how to get a book deal, anything like that, let alone how to make money doing it. I was living in a $2 a night hut in South India with rats in it. And when I'm literally talking, it was like a padlock hut. And I would notice that my underwear would be in the walls. And I'm like, why is my underwear always in the walls? I'm the only one with the key. And then I found out that the rats were taking it and trying to use it to make their home.
Whoa.
And that's why I was always in the walls. And I'm like, you freaking rats. And so I had a mosquito net. And I remember one night the rat was on the mosquito net. It was like this close to my face. And I had to like throw the sandal to try to like kaput the rat up. So that was literally the conditions that I was living in at the time, because I didn't want to go back to that old way of life. My parents were very academic people. I grew up in Boston, but I knew that I didn't want to lead lives like them. I didn't want the white picket fence and get a job and get married and do this, but I didn't know how I was going to be able to provide for myself following my dreams. I had never met anyone that followed their dreams before.
Right.
And so here I was like thinking, is this a Santa Claus story? And like, you're supposed to give up on your dreams at a certain point and just get realistic? Or did these health challenges, and then eventually my parents disowned me, did this happen to me for a greater reason?
What do you mean disowned you?
So eventually my dad was like, you're a hippie, you're a loser, you're a failure, and I want nothing to do with you.
Wow.
And
is that still that way today?
No, now he's like more proud of me, but we're still not very close.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would be hard to come back from.
I mean, it's not so much that. I think a lot of us spiritual people actually choose parents who don't see us because it's our journey.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was abused by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Was actually abused, and I know I chose that to be who I am today. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I believe a lot of us, we're on this path of knowing ourselves. So
Right.
what a better way than being brought up in a family that doesn't understand us? So then we're like obsessed with understanding ourselves. And we go into the astrology and the Dharma and the this and the that.
But that's today, 34 years old. But at 24, you were living that reality, that transition, that change.
All I knew was that I can't take advice from someone that I don't want to lead a life like. And somehow I had that awareness when I was, 23 years old when this started. And so because I didn't have money, I was a health coach. I had like a handful of clients making barely any money, but it was enough to live in India. And so I would just write day in and day out, knowing that one day this book was going to be on the shelves of Barnes and Nobles, but no idea how that was going to happen. And I do believe with manifestation, it's like, own your desires. Like those desires are desiring you back. However, release the attachment to the how and what it's going to look like.
Wow, yeah.
And so without going into that whole part of my journey, eventually I wrote the book. Eventually I got the book deal after being rejected by 30 publishers, after it took 2+ years of, and not just being rejected, the publishers telling me all the things that my parents would say. No one cares about Ayurveda. You're not a doctor. It's never going to happen. So I was literally being echoed back the exact stories I still had within myself. But I just knew I went through these health challenges for a reason. And somehow, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm meant to help, especially other millennial women with digestive and hormonal issues like
For
me.
sure.
And long story short, one of those editors that rejected me worked for the Idiot's Guide group, Idiot's Guide to Health, Idiot's Guide to Gardening, etc. They were looking for someone to write the Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda.
I remember that. That
And
was the one. That was the launching point, right?
yes, so I applied and they're like, okay, write a table of contents. How would you write, very detailed table of contents? This is a 450-page textbook I'm supposed to write. And so I just went to the bookstore. I read every single Idiot's Guide table of contents. How are they mapped out? 16 pages, laid it out. They're like, okay, this is good. Send us how you would do the first chapter. Went back to the bookstore, read all the first chapters of all the books, stayed up all night, wrote the first chapter, and then I was hired. And then I was like, wait, now I have to write a whole new Ayurveda book in 2 months because that's how much time they had given me. And so there was that resistance of but I want my Ayurveda book to happen and it's plant-based and it's cute and it's this. But eventually I was like, you know what? I might die next year. This might be the only book I get to ever write. So let me put my all into it. And that's when I started to learn that I could channel. So as I was writing that book, I would be looking out the window and my fingers would just be typing. And all of a sudden it's gunas, subgunas, the way that the gunas are connected to the doshas and all these different Sanskrit terminologies that I never even learned in this lifetime. And then it's all being fact checked.
Seriously.
All these ways of understanding.
So you were doing this and you're writing it. It's being fact checked.
And I'm channeling
it's actually working.
Yes, I'm channeling ancient Ayurvedic wisdom.
Oh, wow. Okay. Your credibility level with me just went totally up.
And seeing
because I hadn't heard that story
patterns
before.
and things that hadn't been written in English.
Mm-hmm.
And so I submitted that book. They're like, oh, wow, this is great. And that's it. And then I was still back on my journey of not having money and not knowing what I was going to do. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I guess I have to my parents wanted me to become a real estate broker. I'm like, I don't even believe in homes, but I guess I went to study for this test now. I'm crying every single time because my energy body would have to go. And then I was invited to this yoga and science conference from a friend from Instagram I had never met in New York. I lived at my grandma's house at this time. I did not have any money. And I was staying with this random friend. I go to this yoga and science conference and on stage comes Deepak Chopra. And he was always my idol since I was 12 years old and I started reading his books. And when me and my parents would fight, I'd be like, one day I'm going to be like Deepak Chopra, but for the millennial woman. And they're like, no, you're not. And they didn't believe in him. And they definitely didn't believe in what I had to say either. So they saw us as weird charlatan spiritual people. Mm-hmm. And he comes on stage. He wasn't even a speaker there. And something in my consciousness knew this might be the only time you ever see Deepak in your life. Go and say something. I had no idea what I was going to say. I'm in a crowd of 1,000 people. It's an auditorium. Mm-hmm. I've never told you a story, have I?
No, yeah. I'm riveted here.
So I don't know what I'm going to say. It's lunch break. They're all leaving the auditorium. I'm going down the stairs. He's standing on the stage having a conversation with someone. I just go up the stairs on the stage and I just stand next to him. I don't know how. There wasn't security. And then I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say when he turns and looks my way. And then he turns and looks my way. Hi, Dr. Chopra. I'm such a fan of your work and your book changed my life. And I wrote this book. It's with your same publisher. It's The Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda. I would love to send it to you. And he's like, okay, here's my email. Gives me his email. I was like, this is the highlight of my life.
Wow.
I have Deepak Chopra's email. That's it. That is enough. I can die. I have his email. When I die, buried. No. So, and then I was just so pleased to just send him the PDF. And that's it. No expectations. It was actually about to be printed on Tuesday. This was a Saturday. And so I'm super happy with the experience. I'm walking the next day in New York and I'm supposed to meet my friend. We're supposed to shoot some fun videos together. I'm running late. I'm actually eating while walking and I'm halfway across the street and I hear someone saying, can someone help me cross the street? And the same voice in my head says, Sahara, if you're a good person, you help this man cross the street. I've got my raw vegan sushi in my hand. I'm late. I'm like, you know what? I turn back around. I go to the crosswalk and there's a homeless man. He's wearing bags. He had a discolored face, like a strong scent. And I said, I'll help you cross the street. And he takes my arm and we start walking across the street and we start chatting. I'm like, so where are you from? He's from Iraq. You know, my family escaped the war from Iran. They were actually at war with each other.
Right.
And so he's talking about his experience. I'm talking about my family's experience. We're talking about how war impacts people. And then we start talking about his family and his sons. And one of his sons was a lawyer. Another was a doctor. I was like, wow, this is so amazing. And he's like, by the way, can you take me 2 blocks down into the subway? Help me find the subway. I was like, sure, just surrendered to the experience. I'm going to be late. Let me just have this moment. I'm walking with this man. We're having this deep conversation. I put him in the subway. The door is about to close. And I say, by the way, sir, where are you going? He goes, oh, I'm going to go teach at this Queen's University. I'm a doctor of physics. And I was like, wow, I would have never guessed he appeared homeless to me. And so I just walked away so pleased. This Humans of New York experience. I was like, wow, anything's possible. It was so amazing. And, you know, I check my phone as we do. I check my email. And there's an email from Deepak Chopra. And he's like, what is your email? What is your number? I would like to call you. And I'm like, is he mad at me? Did he hate the book? Like, what does he want to say? And right there on the walk, I sent him back my phone number. And then he called me. And he's like, Sahara, where are you going to be on Tuesday? I'm like, sir, I don't live here in New York. I was living at my grandma's place in New York, in LA. He's like, okay, perfect, because I'm doing the You Are the Universe talk in San Diego, and I would love for you to come. And I was going back to LA on Monday, and this was on Tuesday. And I was like, okay, perfect, sir, I'll be there. And so I don't know what this meeting is about. I have no idea. And so I go back to LA, I think that night before I even slept in my car. And I'm like writing yantras, which yantras in Vedic is like for luck and energy. And I'm like just trying to be the most high vibrational version of myself possible. I sit in the crowd in the auditorium. I am shaking the whole entire time. Like just so like imagine like you're seeing your idol right there. And then he just like walks off stage. He's like, okay, come with me. Brings me to the hotel room he has. It's his team. And they start asking me all these different questions. And they're like, why were you there? Where'd you study? I'm just answering them. And then he was like, I read the PDF of your book and I was really blown away by the way that you were able to modernize Ayurveda. And I would love to have you come teach on faculty at Chopra.
Wow.
And we took a video that's still on his Instagram. And it's like him introducing me to his community. And he ended up writing the foreword of that book, which for Idiot's Guidebook never happened. And then all of a sudden, my life shifted. Like it went from rejected by publishers, my parents broke, to all of a sudden, something within me shifted that now not only Deepak wrote the email, I have all this energy. I start looking up, I didn't have a podcast back then either. I'm like, how to get on podcasts, how to do a book launch, I start putting everything I could into this book launch. It became the #1 best-selling Idiot's Guidebook.
Right. I remember that.
And from there, the publisher is like, oh, now that we see that you can sell books, you can write your own book. It took me a few years to notice this. That homeless man that asked me to help him cross the street was not a human. That was an angel that was sent to test me of, will you respect a man as much? Another doctor of physics, but will you respect him when he's not a redeemed spiritual author that's going to bring you forward in your career, but when he's the homeless man that smells, that no one wants to look at, that's holding you back, will you respect him so much?
I have a story for you.
And the fact that I said yes in that moment is what shifted me from living in this karma, which is the resistance from the universe when you're not in alignment with your Dharma, into Kriya, which is the effortless flow you experience when you finally make that U-turn and you shift towards your soul's path.
Thanks for watching and tuning in. These conversations have radically shifted my life, and I want you to experience those radical shifts too. Take these conversations and integrate them into your body by joining one of our fascial maneuver reset programs. Introduction to fascial maneuvers, 7-day reset or 28-day reset. We're gonna put the links below. Take that cerebral knowledge and that experience that you're having right now and bring it into your life by resetting it in your body. These programs have radically shifted my life, and I know they'll radically shift yours. Don't wait another moment, reset your life today. Capricorns always bring up karma. You're the bringer of karma, the teacher of lessons. Your right earring fell out.
Mm-hmm.
My ear is like, feels like it's being stabbed right now. My right ear. Because, I mean, I was already paying attention, but this is yours. Unless I'm supposed to have it.
Do you want to wear it? How do your guys' ears feel? It's saying, pay attention. There's something here.
I got one on the left side. So this is pay attention, listen. I'm about to write a book, my first one. And literally I'm going to see hopefully in September when I go, but I'm writing my book. The strategist who did, it doesn't really matter. The strategist who did a bunch of other really powerful books is meeting me there. I got a book offer for $1 million, but I turned it down because I don't want to do the schedule. I just want to write it on my own terms. I just want to. We have distribution. I have network. I can sell. Don't worry. I don't need the money. But when this came out, you were telling the story about the homeless man. So all of the turning points in my life were homeless people that came up to me.
That's normally how angels come through.
The first one I remember when I was 5 years old. And what happened was we were in Jasper, Canada. I've never told the story. We were in Jasper, Canada, and there's a homeless guy on a bench. And so I got a jelly donut, lemon jelly too. I took it over to him to feed him. And I gave it to him and he said, "Do you want a donut? Are you hungry?" "Yes." "You want a donut?" And so he sat down and he started talking. I said, "Why, like I noticed you're hungry, so I brought this." He says, "Why are you hungry?" And he says, "Because I don't work. I don't have a home either." And I said, "Why, why don't you work?" He says, "Well, I don't have a job because look at me, I'm unclean." He even at 5 years old, I remember him saying unclean, not dirty, which is not a typical term that you would say from a homeless man. You say dirty if he said it. And then I innocent, I'm like, "I'm at the campground down the road with my parents. You can come use our showers." And the whole story, I proceeded from that experience, and it's the one thing that I kind of always remembered all my life, and I don't know why I remembered it. There's a lot of things that 5 years old I didn't remember, and the question was, where are my parents? So, like, first of all, this is in the 70s, early 70s, so people were a little freer. And where were my parents? And how did I meet this guy? And even down to like, was it even real? Because at 5 years old, I could be just completely imagining. But this was such a real experience that I had. And I remember where I was. I remember the bench I was on. I still remember today. I went back there. Like maybe like 8, 9, 10 years ago. I went back to that same bench. And fast forward, I've had all these interactions with homeless people, very similar, and I take it really seriously because they'll come up to me. It's when they come up to me that they do this. When the bank had taken 6 figures from us at Human Garage in the clinic, and we were about to go, and we were going to go on. We needed $30,000. We were leaving our original location, and our original location was on the end of Abbott Kinney in Washington. It was upstairs above the Bikram's Yoga. And so we had already said we're moving out. We were successful, but we're doing $500,000 a month in a clinical business, which was massive in that little place. And then all of a sudden the bank took our money, and literally took our money and said, "Sue us." We had already said we're moving out. The girl that had owned the place, she was already putting something else in there. We couldn't change it, and we had no place to go. We needed. We've pushed a lot of relationships, and then finally we moved out on a Saturday. We had to move in on a Monday, and we took everything down, moved everything onto a truck, and we had no place to go. We had a place that we were going to go into, but we didn't have the money. And we had 15,000 cash. I needed like 45,000 in cash, and we were sitting there at our place in Venice, and Anella, myself, and our business partner Clifton at the time, and we were. I said, "Let's." Like, I'm at the point where I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna walk up to the store, the liquor store, and get a bottle of wine. I'm just done at this point, and I'm walking towards the store, and a guy crosses the street, and he's a homeless guy. And he tells me a story about his brother, and he's there, and he's not really homeless. He's from Boston. Boston.
Which is where I'm from.
Right.
Mhm.
So he's from Boston. And he's there because his brother is going through chemo, and he's not really homeless. We just didn't have the money, so he came and lived on the streets while he's helping his brother. And I said, "How much do you?" And he asked me for some money. I said, "Well, how much do you need?" And he goes, $700. It's not like $20 or $50. It's like $700. And I'm like, this is one of those moments where my right ear goes. It just happened right now, right when your earring fell off your right ear. And I I just said, look, he had a phone. So like, I knew he's not like really, really homeless. So he's like, there's a situation here, and he's stuck. And we don't have enough money. I need $45,000, and I got 15. So I said, look, meet me here tomorrow. So I go to the liquor store, I go back, I sit down with Anella and with Clifton. Clifton was there with me, and I tell the story, and I said, this is what happened. Like, we don't have enough money. We're scraping up and borrowing this money literally to try and get there. And um he I said, I feel like I feel like that I should do this. I feel like this is something that a test. And so long story short, the next day I went back, gave him the money. The Monday, we're trying to move into this location. We're at 8 o'clock. They're not letting us move in. We're moving around. We're borrowing money from people. We're scraping together money so we can open up at 10:30. Literally, we have clients coming in, and we had cash flow, but we just were out of cash. It was a bizarre situation, and um, I, I'm like, this isn't going to work. Yeah, we don't have the money. We can't get it. They're not going to let us into the building. All this other stuff. And I just decided, something says check your app. I go on the phone. $50,000 was deposited into my account. Ran to the bank, got it opened, started business, and that's what took us to the next version of Human Garage by the time you met us. Crazy story, but it was that moment that was just the one you described.
I really believe that often we get these tests, we get these opportunities, and it comes in these guises. You're in need of money, he's in need of money, but we all think, well, my need for money is more important. And I have found when we really, in those moments, embody what we preach, it's like, oh, you're real deal. And then you get what you desire.
Isn't it? It's so crazy. I mean, the more I talk to you, the more I realize the parallels in our lives and our stories. I didn't know you well enough then, but I'm starting to see it now. Even the way that, so everything, the fascial maneuvers, it's all channeled. People, where'd it come from? I changed the entire therapy in a clinic in 2 weeks. That doesn't come from progressive learning. Like, you learn something new, you apply it over time. 2 weeks, I had an entire system from practitioner all the way through to patient. Those are channels, like when you wrote your book.
I believe we're all, those of us who are tapped into consciousness, which I know the people listening are all going through very parallel journeys. Like, I have touched places in my consciousness that sometimes I'm like, has anyone ever felt like this before? And I speak it out to someone, they're like, oh, I've been there. I've had that thought. And it's really like we're all going through this same hero's journey.
Right.
We're all on the dharmic journey. In Vedic spirituality, we talk about how we were born with a dharma, and the dharma is your soul's fullest expression. It's your frequency. It is who you are in full force. And it's not just what you do, but it's often related to what you do, but it's who you are, how you do it, why you do it. It's your magic sauce, and it's why you're here. And the more that we can align with our dharmas, the more magical life becomes. Because
How do you know? Like, for you, I mean, I have my own version of it, but how do you know that you're aligned?
So I think of it as we were all born on a unique highway, and our Dharma is this end of the highway. And you were born as a child, like perfectly in alignment with it. But then with your family might say, oh, you need to focus on math. You need to sit down. You need to this. So you start going off of these highways, the exits on the highway. And your school says do this. And then everyone in your town does that. And you'll make more money doing this. And there's all these different exits that we get off. And so all of a sudden, from being on cruise control down this highway, we're now on an exit. And so the universe starts to respond to us. Tap, tap, tap. Something's off.
Right.
You're not going the right direction anymore. We look around, we're like, I guess everyone lives like this, drink more coffee, medicate more. And we continue to go off that exit. So the universe says, oh, okay, you're not paying attention. I'll get a little louder. Punch, 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 panic attacks, things happening at the workspace, breakups, etc. But most of us, we think, oh, that's life. Life's tough. Get a helmet. And so, we're literally told that.
Life's tough. Get a helmet.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then you keep going off of this exit, and then the universe is like, oh, okay, bitch, I'm going to have to get real loud with you. Boom, collision, on your knees moment. Betrayal coming out of nowhere, the bank taking all of your money, like these huge things that give you no choice but to surrender. And that's when you're really brought to your knees. And as Rumi says, you learn how to pray.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to learn how to listen. And that's when you're humbled and you say, maybe I didn't know the path, because the path that I thought in my mind was actually taking me off course. And I don't know what my Dharma looks like. I don't know what it is, but I know that this direction is bringing me towards more series of unfortunate events. And a lot of people live like that. A lot of people you talk to, oh, how have you been? You have your, monthly coffee and complain, which is how people hang out in this generation. It's like, what's shitty in your life right now? Oh, your husband cheated on you. Oh yeah, well, we haven't even had sex in 20 years. And it's like, great, see you next month. And it continues. And that's all we see. But then when we're given the beauty of an opportunity of a breakdown, like when life gives you the chance to die, I hope you take it.
Right. That's really
because those moments are when everything can shift. And when you can actually scrape off that whole other way of being and start to actually really listen. And you give up control. You say, Spirit, I don't know the path. Lead me, show me. And when you get into that hand open place, all of a sudden you start meeting the right person at the right time that says the right thing. You've never listened to this podcast before. You just randomly came on here and just pressed this, and you don't even know why you're in this conversation. It's telling you exactly what you need to hear. That's going to lead to the next realization, the next, and the next. And then all of a sudden you start getting this momentum. And all of a sudden, instead of feeling like you were unsupported by the universe, you start to feel all of this support. And then things are happening that you could have never planned for yourself. And you're like, wait, like, I feel like now I'm actually taking a backseat. And something else has the wheel and it's guiding me. And I'm just going to show up and be open and just speak what's meant to come through in that moment of time. And then all of a sudden things start picking up. And it's like, just like I went from, oh my God, I guess I'm going to have to become a real estate agent and I don't know how, to like, I'm just going to commit to doing this. The homeless person, the test, Deepak Chopra, the energy shifted from karma, which karma has a lot of meanings, but really the definition is bounded action by the universe. So it's that resistance that's not here to get you, but it's actually here to provide you necessary feedback. Because what do we listen to as humans? Pain. When something hurts, we're like, ouch, no, I don't want to do it. I mean, we've become pretty masochistic in our society. We just stay in it or numb ourselves instead of just being like, oh, there's a reason why I felt this much pain for so long. I'm not supposed to be going in this direction.
Right.
And then when you actually take the lesson of that pain and you actually use it as fuel, as, in alchemy, they talk about the first step is the lead. And that lead needs to go through the process of fermentation and configuration and refinement to become the gold.
Right.
And so when you shift into that energy, you experience kriya, which is boundless action by the universe, which is that support, the synchronicities. And all of a sudden things are just happening through you. And that is because the universe wants you to be living your Dharma. It's for the best of humanity, because every single person carries a unique code of how they are here to shift consciousness. For you, very clear, fascia, embodiment, but also astrology, and it's, continued to be channeled through you. For me, it's ancient sacred wisdom, the path of the feminine, the path of earth. And so every single one of us is going to have our unique flavor. So It's interesting though, because then you might say, well, what was the whole point of going through that rodeo? Well, that was the refinement. That was the obstacles that actually, because you were born with your Dharma, but you weren't born embodying it yet. You know, I
Sure.
could tell you all of this from the mind, but the fact that I've gone through the fucking shits and I can tell you the story if you'd like, numerous times brought to my knees, and every single one of it was like, oh, okay, a new octave. And now the difference of it is now I know, oh, I'm just in the shitty part of my memoir. Oh, it's a new story being written right now. Oh, how interesting the character of my soul decided to write this screenplay and the way that this was meant. And you'll need to hit the level of rock bottom that you need to allow that old version of your life to dissipate. And sometimes it needed to be really fucking big for you to let it go.
You know, it's I'm unusually quiet right now because I know when God's talking to me. And God's talking to me through you right now. Yeah. I'm holding on to your ear. I'll give it back afterwards. But I know when to listen. I watch the signs. You see me, I ask everybody about their astrology because that's my way of, people ask, why do I ask everybody about their astrology? It's because, like, for example, I was out working with Djokovic, the tennis player. And I had to go from Chelsea to Wimbledon every day to see him before Wimbledon. And we went out there and we went back and forth, back and forth. Every single Uber driver there and back was a Gemini. Now, what is the potential chances out of the tens of thousands of Uber drivers that would be the case in this particular? Like, there's zero chance, right? And then that's just one of like thousands of examples
because that's what you have assigned meaning to. That's the language that your soul knows to communicate to you.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I ask astrology because I can see the patterns, and I can see the pattern of you being here today. You're Capricorn, which is 8. We're on a Capricorn day today, which is the Capricorn day of the full moon in the Lionsgate portal energy, which is the first one true Lionsgate portal in the age of Aquarius, which spins both of our directions off. You're telling me a karmic story which touched my heart. Your earring fell off the right ear. My ear starts to pierce. And the reason I ask is because I see God through those impossible patterns, because there is no randomness when it comes up like that. And in my ability to see God, and people ask why I'm so obsessed with it. Like, it's like I literally ask everybody and I build the story, and this is what happened today, and and it's fun for me because that's how I see God. I see God through those numbers.
God is everything. It's in even the desire that you have to find meaning in life. And everyone's going to have their own. You know, for some people, it could be through angel numbers. Through some people, it could be through just feelings in the body. But I feel as humans, it's very challenging for us to be in this unknown, you know, in this abyss of like, we don't understand things. And I feel looking at these patterns, looking at these synchronicities, they give us that sense of I'm being guided somewhere. But it's a paradox too, of like, have it and also let go of it.
Yeah.
Because we can also get into the shadow of like, oh, well, if this was this and then like intellectualize everything. Because what I've noticed is the moment you think you have it figured out, God switches the script. You know, you're like, you think you got the theory? Time for a new one, you know? And it's like, what I've learned from it is I can always go back and I can look at patterns. I can look at why I chose this person to hurt me in this way and this and that. But what I know is that no matter what happens, I got me.
Yeah.
I will hold myself through it. And then I feel there's this evolution that happens in our spiritual journey, that it's less even about making sense of things and more, no matter where I'm at, in the darkness, in the height, just this complete acceptance and also knowing that this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And that's when we really become witnesses of our journey. That story, I believe, chose me because it knew one day I would come on this podcast and tell the story, you know? And then it's like, you're less personally attached to any of these things. And you're just like, oh, wow, I was meant to go through this health challenge, this betrayal. You're meant to go through that thing, because that's just the story that spirit has chosen for you to be the vessel of. And then you just stay open without any attachment to what the story is supposed to be, because it's going to unfold in whatever way, and everyone will find their own meaning to it. And even your meaning of it will change over time.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you're going through this journey. It's definitely been ups and downs. You feel that the wind is at your back now?
Like it's easier now?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm there too. I'm
Mhm.
crossing that point. And ironically, I was listening to your story about the book because I'm going to write that first book. And it was the two things you said is like, somebody take the wheel. I came from a Southern Baptist background. Jesus, take the wheel. And I've definitely done that in my life. Stop trying to force things. What do you say to somebody who's in the shit of it right now? Because legitimately, that's where most people are today. Even the ones that look like they have it together, they don't. And a lot of people that you mentor around you, and they're in the shit of it too.
So when I was in the shit of it, which was after finding out about ongoing infidelity in my then marriage, and it took me completely by surprise. I didn't have any signs, and he sat with San Pedro, the plant medicine, and that's what caused him to actually confess this to me.
Oh, so
He confessed it.
How long were you married when this happened?
We were together for 7.5 years. So a full 7-year cycle.
Okay, and then how long after you got married did it come out?
After 7.5 years.
Oh, so we were married for 7.5 years.
We were married for 3 of them and together for 4 before. So
That's
we were
what I mean.
together.
So
I did not know this for 7.5 years until my being was ready to know. And he was not really on a spiritual journey, came through a spiritual journey through me, finally sat with the medicine, and then both of us took the red pill.
Wow. Anela and I separated 7 years to the day.
Yeah, 7-year cycles. It's real.
It's real. It is real, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So after that was by far the hardest thing I had ever gone through, because with your parents, it's like they're your parents and it's a coming to age. But when it's someone that you chose, someone that you trusted,
Right.
and they betray you, and it was a really crazy moment when because he woke me up in my sleep and confessed this to me. And my first response was actually that I am witnessing a miracle.
Right.
I'm witnessing a miracle.
Because you saw the beauty in it at the time.
Of someone sharing their truth.
Yeah.
Of like, wow, I thought I knew you so well. How did I not know this? How could you have I can't even imagine what it's like to hold this in. And I was honestly more like amazed and curious.
When did this happen, out of curiosity?
Almost 3 years ago.
Do you remember the date?
December 4th, 2022.
Okay, Grandmaster Sagittarius, 12 degree. Because about 3 years ago, I also had the memory that I had been sexually abused. And my response wasn't anger, it was like compassion. Would you say that you were in compassion?
I saw Kuan Yin above me. Kuan Yin, the goddess.
Okay.
Goddess of compassion.
Okay. So
and she literally came through and she said, listen to this man speak. You're witnessing someone healing that you love in real time. And for 9 hours, I didn't even have anger or sadness or anything in me. I just asked him questions and I listened. And it was something greater coming. Because if I had gone angry or snapped or something, he would have stopped right there. And I was just trying to understand, like why? Like how does that feel? Like what were you feeling before that would make you do that? And it was probably the closest moment that we ever had.
I had to him, yeah. When I realized it, I was working with an Indian lady who's a Sagittarius 19 degree, who's wanting to be more intimate with her partner. They were going to get married, and he was 29 degree Sag, me. And she talks about molestation. She's a famous Indian celebrity.
Mm.
She talks about molestation, how she molested her sister, passed it on, and
Mm.
was recovering from this, and how she felt that it kept. And anyways, through that, I go, oh my God, that's what happened. That's that feeling I had my whole life.
So her saying it helped you
Trigger.
you remember.
But I only remembered it 3 years ago.
Mm.
And then I talked to my sister. There's a whole bunch of things that confirmed it all the way along. So it wasn't just my thought. And the I went to call because I'm like, well, do I say something? I'm an evolved being. I should say something about this. It's their journey. I had all these things. What do I do? Do I say anything? Do I not? My father is in his 80s, and he's probably not going to be here very much longer. Been dealing with some cancers and other things, and I'm like, do I actually say this to him? Like, what is the benefit? Like, is it me? Like, do I have to get it out? And so I went and I thought, I think I should just mention it. I should have a conversation. So I picked up the phone to call, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't hear you. Sorry, my hearing aid's out. Okay, put the hearing aid back in. And then hearing aid gets in, then like the phone drops.
It wasn't meant to.
And then I'm like, call back, and then the phone drops again. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So the idea was there was no value or benefit. I didn't want retribution. So he goes, hey, what did you call me about? And I just say, hey, Dad, I just want to say I love you. And that was my turning moment. That was like, I believe it was your turning moment, the same thing, where there was only compassion at that point. And it was, and I thought, what did that man have to go through to have that happen to his son? And then, and I was breaking that cycle too. I didn't pass that on, because these are abuse like this is passed generationally. It's actually encoded into us. It's not an angry, hateful thing. It's a sickness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disease that's not cured or not solved or recognized. And I went through that same exact emotion that you did, and it was about the same time.
And I think that emotion of the compassion is where we need to start. And that doesn't mean don't feel anger, don't feel sadness, just become okay with it. I went through a 1-year journey after that. I have like a hair in my mouth. What does this mean? My tongue is manifesting,
In the middle of all these great conversations, sometimes you still need to take a minute to stop and breathe. Let's do that together. We're going to breathe 3 times through the mouth and 3 times through the nose. This is going to activate and rebalance your parasympathetic nervous system so you can absorb more. Breathe in with me through your mouth. 2. 3. Now 3 breaths through the nose. 2. 3. Now with that simple 6-breath reset, you can go back and enjoy more content.
So that doesn't mean don't feel the sadness, just have compassion, be the bigger person. Whereas I feel a lot of us empaths love to hang out there.
Yeah.
I went through a 1-year dark night of the soul after that.
Yeah.
But I knew he wasn't the person who could hold it.
Yeah.
He wasn't the person who could hold. I wanted him to be, but he couldn't. He needed to go heal his own traumas in his childhood that made him manifested in this kind of way.
Yeah, sure.
And so I needed to learn how to hold that container within myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so every single morning I would wake up and cry. I would just cry and cry and cry day after day after day after day. And I'm like, I'm just going to live like this forever. And so I started to try to move the energy. I did not have enough energy to dance, to get up. Like that was so far away from where I was at. But I would just sit up in bed and play one song. And like, could I just rock my body? Could I just hug myself? Could I just kiss my hand the way I wished a lover would kiss me? Can I just give myself that beautiful stroke on the face of you're doing amazing, sweetie. The things I wanted to hear from someone else, can I give that to myself? And from doing that, I would just start to feel this love. And I started to record voice memos of myself. And these voice memos, I would just share thoughts coming up, mantras, anything that was showing up. And after months of doing this, I started to come up with poems and then little hooks and little repetitive things I would say. And one of them was trust, flow, surrender, let go. Trust,
Right.
flow, surrender, let go.
Trust,
Trust, flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. I would just say that to myself in my head.
It's music.
And yeah, and then I was listening to a lot of Afrobeats music, and now I can really see Afrobeats massive earth energy. It's very grounding. It was like that divine masculine that I was craving. And so I started to get really curious. How does one make an Afrobeat song? Like, how do you produce music? What does that even look like? So going on YouTube, I'm looking at tutorials, how to produce music. I'm like getting the things, and then I'm recording myself coming up with melodies. And then what would the drum sound like? And what would the hook sound like? And then I start going on these different websites to get the instruments, and I start piecing them together, and I start making songs. And all of a sudden I start producing music. And then I started to produce Afrobeats music. I'm like, okay, I need to find an artist from Nigeria to sing on it. You know, my greatest fear in life was singing. Like, if there's one thing I was bad at, it was singing. Like, we were having a conversation about this. Like, when I would sing, like I would sing when my mom would vacuum so she couldn't hear. And then she would after be like, you know, I could hear you. Like, you know, and like, you should be embarrassed, girl. Like, it was like that. Like, no one wanted to hear me sing, but I loved pop stars and stuff always. And so I never thought I could sing on it. So I kept trying to find artists. No one's getting back to me. And I'm just like, what do I do with this? And then so I just recorded myself on my microphone, that $16 microphone I had at home. And I'm like, trust, flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for, over Afrobeats. And then to my friend, I'm like, can you sing Afrobeats? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, I wrote the thing for him to say. I'm like, right, give me ginger, give me sugar. And I like start writing the like African part of it. And he has African ancestry. And so we made the song, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And then we just started playing like kids, and we're making one song to the next. And all of them were just different things I told myself, like, be the vibe, you know, instead of looking for the vibe, be the vibe. And it kept going on. Self-love anthem, the feminine is rising, shake your ass for your ancestors, like all these different things that I told myself. And then all of a sudden I had all these songs. I'm like, what do I do with them now? He's like, I don't know, make an album. I'm like, I can't make an album. I'm not an artist to make an album. And he's like, well, I see myself as an artist. Do you? And that was like, oh, do I? Like, it was never an identity I wore. I thought I'm an author, I'm a spiritual person, never an artist. And I'm like, well, just to get these songs out, I'll just make the album. And so I just decided to do that. And then I'm like, okay, how does one release an album? How do you make music videos? I'd love to make a music video. And then I'm like finding random people, like this Russian videographer girl. We like go to the beach and we just shoot a music video that day. And I just let it be easy. I'm not on a record label or anything like that. And just one thing to the next. And then I decided International Women's Day, and I called the album My Body is an Altar. And it's about seeing yourself as a sacred site that will only be treated as such. And all of the lessons that I learned through my divorce, especially that, you know, in this whole process after like 2 years of like, you know, once I'm in this other relationship, then I can write the book, then I can share my story, because then I'm on the other side. And I'm still not on the other side. And this hook kept coming to me of, maybe this love story is really about me. Like, maybe it's about who I've become. Maybe the love story is not, and now she's in a better relationship with her God man, but rather it's, look at who you've evolved into. And so that was the last song, just a poem that I wrote called Love Story. And so I put that album out, I shared it with my friends, and detached and kept going on in my life. And then all of a sudden, radio stations in Africa start playing Trust Flow. I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, how are they?
Radio stations in Africa.
That hit over 1 million streams. Be the Vibe hit over 1 million streams. The album got millions of streams. I'm not on PR, nothing. And it just showed. And it's like, and the funny thing is like, the songs that are like the most just like vulnerable, like the love story one, I didn't even want to put out, but I'm just like, because it's literally like words of my diary. Like, I traveled across oceans, rebirthed myself in seas, asked my ancestors for guidance, found myself on my knees, left what I know as home, made friends with adversity, saw him as he was, let go of the fantasy. And I can go on, but my story that I thought I'm a spiritual teacher, like I'm supposed to be on the other side of that shit, and it's like, nope, here I am
Wow.
in the next shitty part of my memoir, because I guess it's time for a new book of life. And the journey went on, and it was interesting because he actually produced music, and I always thought, oh, like, how does one do that? It's this external thing I could never be. I never really thought of it for myself, and I really believe we're attracted to people we desire to become.
Mm-hmm.
And a version of me knew that that was possible, but I wasn't ready for it. And it took, there's certain lessons you learn through a relationship, and there's certain lessons you learn through the dissolving of the relationship.
Sure.
And in the dissolving of the relationship, I find is when you actually start to integrate the things that you even may have judged about that person, and they start to become part of you.
Like he was a producer. Now
He was, and he was always on, like, all the time. He never had time because he was always producing music. I'm like, why? Like, don't you want to like go out there and this and that? And then I started to get it. Like, I never smoked marijuana in my life. It was never my thing. I started to try smoking marijuana. I'm like, let me try this and see what that is. And, like I never had tattoos. I'm like, let me get tattoos. Like all of these things. And he was the Scorpio.
Yeah.
And so I really believe you date your darkness until you integrate it.
Fair statement. Yeah.
And so it was like all of these things of me that I judged. But it gave me more wholeness. And I don't smoke weed anymore, but it was like I needed to resist judgment of like, I'm good, that's bad. And it's like, just be with the full range, the full totality. And I remember, there's moments, especially because it felt like a death. It was like I went to sleep married and basically was woken up in my sleep, and the next day I'm divorced. And I knew then that we needed to divorce because it was an ongoing thing. And so it felt like it wasn't like I built up the strength to one day. It was just like a death.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of layers of this unraveling, but it showed me that like you need to go through the death. And I feel in our spiritual world, we all want the rebirth.
Right.
We all want the glow up, but we don't want to die.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what they were talking about in ancient Egypt. They weren't talking about literal death.
Right.
They were talking about the deaths you have in this life.
Yeah.
And if you really take them, that's when the new version of you comes online.
That's definitely been the the journey to deaths. So many of them. And somebody was asking me the other day, does it get any easier? And I said, and I asked them to define what easier meant, and it stopped coming. Actually, it was on the boat last night. Somebody we met together, and I'm like, actually, no, it doesn't stop coming. That's the wrong question. It's like, do I have the capacity to have that coming of things just flow through me and not stick in me anymore? And that was the journey to learn, because the deaths, each one of the deaths that I had, like you had, put me in another place where I wasn't looking for the end anymore. I was just comfortable with where it is. I'll give you one example. Like right now, I've been traveling for almost 2 years, and I've been somewhere every 2 weeks. People say, don't you want to go home? And I came to this point where I am home. And it's a bizarre feeling. I don't have a place because I'd go back to Mexico where we have a compound, and I didn't feel home there. I went back to Vancouver. I didn't feel home there. And even back in Dubai, I didn't feel like I was home. But I feel home when I'm here.
So home is a frequency that we're always looking for.
Right.
We're looking for it so deeply in romantic relationships, because that's that intoxicating feeling, that person that feels like home. But I really believe it's our memory of what we were when we were home in our womb, in the womb of our mother, in the mother. Right. And then we're stripped out of it. It's like, imagine being in your mother's womb and you're like, oh, everything's great here. I'm warm. I'm cozy. I'm fed. I'm one with love. And then all of a sudden you're out. What's this shit? Oxygen? I have to fend for myself. It's where is this love? And we're just looking for love. Are you the mother? Are you the mother? What we're really looking for is the mother. It's earth. It's the pulse of life. And when we're connected to that, then yes, we get to have experiences of love through people, through dogs, through music, through this, through that. But we get to radiate in our home frequency all the time. And we're detached from that thing is necessary in my life as my source of love. And I really believe we go through these huge breakups and initiations to become the embodiment of love. And if you are on the soul contract, which so many of us are, of to truly understand capital L love, like true universal love, you must learn how to be in love, in the state of love. It's like if I have a balloon and I blow the oxygen in, I can see there's oxygen in this balloon, and then I pop it. Is the oxygen gone? It's just everywhere.
Right.
Everything is love. It is all around us. It's just often easier in the containment of two people who are like in practice of it. But the thing is, most of that is even projection.
It is projection.
You know, most of that is you don't leave me, I don't leave you, because it's too hard for me to do it on our own. But when we become the living embodiment of love, that is when we can actually create things without the codependency, without, and I believe we are here to have sacred union. I believe dharmic relationships is what we're here to experience. So moving from the karmic relationships, which are the lessons and the teachings and the this and the that, and of course, to some degree, all relationships will always be karmic, because there will be no attraction to each other if there isn't something to learn.
Right.
But for it to have a North Star, for it, the relationship to have a Dharma, for the relationship to have something greater than just the two of you enjoying your time, because that's going to get old fast. And also when shit gets hard, which it will, it won't be enough to keep the relationship going. In my previous relationship, we didn't have a shared Dharma. We tried, but it never worked.
Yeah, that was actually what brought me back. It was the shared Dharma, because Anel and I started the Human Garage together, and we came together as business partners who had a relationship. And 6 years later, we're coming back together, which has been fantastic. But that's part of it. Is it wasn't Human Garage, it wasn't the business. It was the idea of what we were moving towards. Is the enlightenment of ourselves. It was the helping of other people, and it was bringing this into the world. And that's actually, because when I told you that we were getting back together, that was the shocking part. That was shocking to me, by the way. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's very rare you hear couples separating, being apart for 6 years and getting back together. It's giving Parent Trap. I love it.
We first of all, I just want to say that a whole new respect for you just came out today, and in an amazing way. I see the magic of your journey, but I see the magic that you're creating in the world, and I want to spend more time with you now. That's what's really cool. I wouldn't have necessarily said that, because there's a lot of people I don't want to spend time with, that I socialize with or interact, do business with, but I want to spend more time with you. I want to get to know you better. And you're doing some amazing things, and you've helped so many women, especially in your generation. You've become a voice for that. What's one thing that somebody can do to turn their situation around today?
So the first thing is, if you're in the shitty part of the memoir, triple E, emote, embody, and express. So emote, feel the feeling, be honest with yourself, and I've noticed it's like sometimes it's like you feel a little bit off, and you have to take a moment to get deeper of like, what's that micro little emotion I'm feeling? And then when you can be honest and it unravels, and just sit with it, and then emote into embody. So let's say I'm feeling lonely. What does it feel like to feel lonely in my body? Do I feel a black tar over my heart? Do I feel a pit in my stomach? Do I feel this longing to be held? To actually move that into your body. So whether it's tapping on that area, stretching it, dancing it, fascia releasing it, something in the body. Now here's where it kind of shifts. Now, can you create the state in your body that you do desire? So if I'm feeling this black tar over my heart, I'm going to be alone forever. Can I start to dissipate this black tar? What do I want to feel instead? Maybe I want to feel a lavender energy. Maybe I want to feel what it feels like. Oh my God, just tomorrow my life could change. Life is full of synchronicities. What would that feel like in the body? And then letting my body just sink into that state. And then from there, express. Maybe I want to paint something. Maybe I want to sing. Maybe I want to dance. Maybe I want to write something, record a voice memo of myself. But to turn it into expression, I find is the key. Because when I was going through my divorce and so many tough emotions, and then I would make a song or make a poem or make an Instagram caption, I'm like, it was all worth it for that. Like, even if this is just the end of it and I just did that, like, it's all worth it. And I find people say, how do you become more confident? Doing things that make you proud of yourself. And when it's hard to really do anything, it's like, can you just do the littlest thing that can turn it into something beautiful? And that's where the best art comes from, you know, like
for sure.
You don't listen to albums about like everything is great, just another great day. No, it's like unbreak my heart, you know, and it's like, oh my God, that was like my number one most listened to song when I was like 12 years old, probably how I manifested this shit. But but it's like you feel it. Like I had never had my heart broken, but I felt it. And so to turn that pain into art, it makes it all worth it. And then you start to shift and you start to become this version of yourself you could have never imagined. And then when you see yourself evolve, you're like, I would go through this 10,000 more times to become this version of me. And then it's no longer a loss. It's no longer a failure. It's no longer this shitty thing that happened. It's the best thing that happened. It's the thing that you needed because it could have never been another way. I would never go back to that version of myself before. When I look at pictures of her, I'm like, oh, cute. I would never. Even though it was a really rough journey, even though I'm not in the relationship, even though I don't have things all figured out, but who I get to sit with every day, who I get to hang out with in my own consciousness, that's the win. And so Emote, Embody, and Express, and also especially, I mean, for everyone, but especially for women, we lose ourselves in the figuring out of does he like me? Does he not? My relationship, it's not working. It says we like get very enmeshed in that. And I find connecting to something greater than ourselves, connecting to our Dharma, our sense of purpose.
Right.
That was my bridge, my North Star through all of this, that there would be days I'm crying and so disheveled. And I would like get on a call at my coaching institute and teach. And I'm like, oh, remember who the fuck I am. And it was like this vibrational increase. Even being here at Mind Valley, it's like, oh, like, because we can when we're by ourselves, we're in our own story, and that's why I'm also very passionate about going to sacred sites. You know, I was just in Egypt for some time, and it's like you go to these sacred sites, and it's like, oh, I'm connected to something larger than myself. Whereas we're so caught up in our boxes, our apartments, and then our cars and our phones, and it's like this one problem is like the biggest thing, and then you go to a temple, you go to an ocean, you go to a forest, and it's like, life is so vast, and there have been so many characters that have come before me with this exact same problem and this exact same emotion, and they have a moment on the grand main stage of life, and then they go on and another one passes, and it's like, just take this moment, because one day you're going to be looking back on these memories, especially the anguish, and you're going to be like, oh, I kind of wish I could go back to that. You know, there's a feeling of aliveness that you get from it. So if you're in the pain, enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah.
Because it is such fertile soil for you to create so much that you're going to be so proud of one day.
Somebody, I actually said that yesterday. Somebody has said, I think it's the key is to really just enjoy the journey. I used to tell that story, and you know, and I'm finally at a point where I can accept that, and I'm in the process of doing that. We could talk forever. There's something that changed me today. And you brought change the last time I interviewed with you. And today you're bringing change for me again. So I can only wait to see how this story unwinds itself. Sahara, it's been fantastic talking to you. I want people to find you. I know they can look at Sahara Rose online. You have programs and courses.
Yes, I am Sahara Rose on Instagram. I have a podcast called Highest Self Podcast. We just did an amazing interview with you. We'll also link the one we did 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And my school is called Highest Self Institute. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed again in these versions of ourselves. And I'm so excited to see what we're meant to co-create. And I feel the fact that we're both in India at the same time is really interesting, and the sacred sites there. And I feel there is more to be brewed, and you guys are here for the journey with us.
You're watching it.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this content, follow us on social media channels, The Human Garage Experience, Apple, Spotify, and all other channels. We're on a mission to inspire 1 billion people worldwide, and the way that you participate is by liking, subscribing, and sharing our content. Every share that you take brings us one step closer to that billion people. This has been a fantastic episode. We enjoyed presenting it to you. Be a part of this worldwide revolution and share it now.